Yeah. You know how I feel. I'm in love, but you still.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to my weekly podcast where we talk, everything music related. I hope everyone's staying safe during coronavirus. Things will get well soon. And so, we're on another special day. We're doing another album review. This is the third album we're reviewing, an R&B album. And we unfortunately not doing like a video podcast like the last album, obviously because of the various issues that I had on that doing a video podcast. Yeah, it's not for the faint hearted, let me just say that. So yeah, for the second time as well, I'm gonna have a guest with me, a pretty great guest, a friend. And since I'm doing R&B, right, it's an R&B album review. I decided to get a woman on the show because they say R&B is for women. Some say. I think she thinks otherwise. Yeah, I think she thinks otherwise. But everyone by now, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know how much I love R&B. It's my favorite genre. So yeah, I just want her to quickly give a quick introduction of herself and take it from there.
Hi. I wonder if people could hear my smile. My smile is so big right now. I'm so bummed out that people won't be able to see it, but it's okay. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited. My name is Nomonde Sadiki Jele. I am a friend of Ari's. We go way back. We like a lot of the same things. And that's why I'm here, I guess. We both like music and R&B music, and we talk for hours on end across different time zones about things that we both like.
But you forgot to mention a point. Like she's actually also a artist manager, right?
Oh, musician. Yes.
Yeah, that's actually quite important because it's a music review, so you actually have a dope connection with music.
I do. I have a very professional and personal connection with music. It fills my everyday, and even before I started with artist management, I mean, like many people, you grow up with music and you have soundtracks to your life, and you love everything. And the song plays, and you haven't heard it in like 15 years, but you remember the words, and yeah.
Okay, dope. That's dope. And then, so my first question, just to break the ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people say, like I said before, right? R&B is my favorite genre, and people say R&B music it's primarily for women, right? So what artist that you found that someone that right? Maybe like a guy friend, a boyfriend, a brother, whoever, a male person, right? Like what artist that you found out that they listen to that's R&B that you'd like sort of in a way find it really strange or doubt their sexuality, like an R&B artist?
So I don't know if there's anything that would kind of surprise me or make me doubt anything, because I think like R&B music at its core is like romantic. So I'm kind of surprised when people don't like R&B, because why don't you like R&B? It's such a nice thing to love, even if you're not in a relationship or in love or anything. It's music that really just makes you feel so good, and so many people resonate with the things that they hear, whether the song is sad or the song is cheery or joyful or whatever. So I think more of my doubts come when people don't listen to R&B, or when you mention something and they're like, who's that? Or I don't like that. Like someone who doesn't like Miguel, or someone who doesn't like Frank Ocean, or even Anita Baker going like all the way back. That's always very strange. I don't judge people. This is a judgment-free house, judgment-free home. I try not to judge people, but that's a little bit peculiar to me.
Yeah, no, because I think my question is because, like, some maybe you haven't experienced that. Obviously, being a woman, like, when you hear when you say you listen to certain R&B artists, as males, they go like, obviously not being, for the lack of a non-political correct statement, like people say, like Riley Freeman says from the Boondocks, nigga, you gay. Listen to that. If you listen to certain artists, so I think that's where my question comes from. But yeah, but I do get your point. Yeah.
People, and sorry for interjecting like that, but I mean, a lot of people have grown up listening to Michael Jackson, and he sang about love. So people are definitely lying to themselves. They probably say stuff like, oh, nigga, you're gay. But as soon as they go home and they take off the nigga jacket, the masculinity coat, and they put on their Spotify, and they go find that Frank Ocean, or they go and find that, Teddy Pendergrass, and they definitely get into it. I have no doubt in my mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. No, but I get you. Okay, so now let's head to so just to reveal what we're reviewing, right? So today we're actually reviewing the Daniel Caesar Case Study 01 album. It's sort of unannounced because of the troubles in the last album podcast, whatever. So I didn't sort of announce it, but we're doing it today. He's a Canadian singer-songwriter, R&B, sort of relatively new artist, becoming a sort of, if you can call, an undercover superstar. I've personally heard every single song this guy has made. But then I thought I did till I heard about the Point Break EP. I don't know if you heard it. Have you heard it before?
I have.
Jesus, because that's not on like Spotify's and Apple Music's and stuff, is it?
I think it is. I think that's where I listen to it.
Yeah, because it's not on Apple Music, definitely, because I constantly check his page, and I've heard, like I said, I heard everything that's on that Apple Music page, so it's probably somewhere else. But yeah, I haven't heard that. So I would say that I'm a huge fan of Daniel Caesar. So I just want to ask you first, before listening to this album, right? Before we get to the album, what did you think of Daniel Caesar?
So I actually want to correct myself. I hadn't listened to Point Break, but the first thing I ever heard of his was Pilgrim's Paradise.
Oh, okay.
And that was at a point where people were like, oh, listen to this guy, Daniel Caesar. And I was like, okay, whatever. I just want to listen because people are talking about it. And there's like mad hype. Not mad hype, but you know how a friend is like, yeah, I found this cool dude. He's underground. No one knows about him.
But when was this? When did you listen to the? Do you remember? Was it like 2015, maybe? 17?
17, probably 17.
17, okay.
It must have been 2017. And I've probably just heard in passing, like in the library at university, like, okay, I'm just going to listen to this. This person told me to listen to it. Never really being attentive. And then when Freudian dropped, I was like, oh, wow. Is this a guy who made that thing? And then you go back to that thing, you're like, this is actually really good. And I was actually really wrong. So that was my first encounter with his music, and I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Okay, dope. So yeah, just a quick like sort of intro on the album. So this is an album that has gotten sort of like, good reviews, not great reviews. So some fans, I think, have boycotted this album before it came out. Reasons that I'm going to talk about later in the review. But many people say it's not as good as his previous album, Freudian. How do you pronounce that album? Is it
Freudian.
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 Yeah, Freudian. The album is pretty cool. It has like a good length. It's like 10 tracks, which I love because I feel like it tells you that he's focused more on quality than quantity. And yeah, so together we're gonna go song by song, and on each song we're just gonna like talk about like themes of the music, general stuff, and like sort of listen to the album and like just have like a conversation, I guess, with Nomonde Jele, the music manager in Ariel's podcast. So yeah, okay, so now let's get to the album, and I hope you guys enjoy and you listen till the end. And yeah, let's get to it.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu.
Cool. So the first track of the album is called Entropy, right? Entropy. And I always believe that album openers are essential, and I feel the album just opens really well. I really like this track. It's like it sort of has like sad themes, but it sort of has a bubbly, more sort of happy instrumental. It's a bit autobiographical, I would say. And yeah, but it's a pretty cool track, pretty cool track. What do you think of the song?
The sound of it is so uncomplicated that if you're not focusing on what he's singing about, you're like, oh, this is jovial and boom, 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 boom. Like it sounds really, really great. But I mean, he's singing about chaos in his life and in life in general. And I think how fickle life is as well. And just how disorder, how can I say? It never ends. It's like a never-ending cycle of chaos. But I think I like that in songs. I love it when, and I don't know why. I like an example I like to give is Pumped Up Kicks.
What's that?
All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. Well, who are those guys again?
I think I do know it, but it's like an alternative, guys, right? Like
Yeah. So that song is
yeah.
I mean, it's a song about a kid who goes around shooting other kids, but you wouldn't
really. Or is it about that? I actually didn't know
it. You wouldn't think that because it's so upbeat, and this is kind of the same. I really like. I enjoy it.
Or like you like sort of the contrast or the juxtaposition of sad theme but happy.
Exactly. It's so heavy laden, but the sound is like, yeah, let me swing with the chaos.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of how I really don't want to be grasping at straws, but maybe life is like that sometimes. I don't want to get too philosophical because this album in itself is like deeply philosophical.
Hella philosophical.
But sometimes we're really just going through life and swinging through life, and it seems like it's grand and fun, but maybe we're making it grand and fun because we acknowledge that chaos is never ending and disappointments are never ending. One day this thing will, it'll cease to exist completely. But let's swing.
Yeah, no, I think it's quite life is chaotic. No one's life is perfect, and I think obviously like a celebrity, because I feel like this album is a bit of like a not a cry for help, but like he's showing that he's conflicted. Like he's having, I think he's constantly showing it that he's having like a tough time dealing with like the fame side. Because he's very private and he's all about the music, but his music is popular, he has to deal with the popularity that his music has brought him, and I think he struggled with that, and it's a constant thing with like with musicians, I think, because musicians in general that I know are quite private, but like music is such a mass consumption of music. So it's so hard for you to be anonymous. And, and a lot of artists like Frank Ocean, he sort of envies Daft Punk because no one knows who they are. No one knows who they are. So, yeah, so I think, but yeah, great points. So yeah, so now we're gonna jump to the. Do you wanna say something else?
So I read somewhere that he, I actually think I read on Wikipedia that he had a disagreement with his father and he was kicked out.
Yeah, he was kicked out when he was like 17 and stuff.
So I think part of the things that he's going through, and we hear it from the first song here, could be you're young and you're famous and you thought that things were going to be great.
Or things gonna get better, yeah, when you get
Yeah,
the
and you
fame.
eventually did your music, but you're still having conflict with your family. You're still having inner conflict. Things are not as rosy. You can't walk down the street and, go get a burger without people recognizing you and that kind of thing. So maybe those are some of the things that he's juggling.
It's quite a good point, because I think it's like, especially when you're like trying to strive to achieve something, right? That seems so hard to achieve, and then you finally achieve it. Because like in your mind, you think before you achieve it, right? You think that like once I achieve this thing, everything will be better.
Yeah.
Everything in my life will be better. It's sort of it's a weird thing that like we have in our minds. It's like we think everything will be better, but like once we get there, we realize things are not. And I think that's what he's saying. It's quite a
Especially for someone's age. I mean, what, 24, 25? Yeah. So there are a lot of internal battles. For people.
But for him, it's not as bad. But like for people like your Justin Bieber's and your these people that become very successful very young.
Exactly.
It's like can drive people crazy. But yeah, but overall, great way to open the album. Like she made some points. Nomonde made some points that like I didn't think about. I'm not a very lyrics guy. I just want to tell you before. Like lyrics sort of wash me, right? Like it sort of hits my face, but it doesn't go straight to my ear. I have to listen to it. Like I feel it, but I don't hear it. I don't know if I make sense, but like it's sort of.
I hear you.
Yeah, I probably hear like 50%, but like you seem to be more of a lyrics person, and that's so that's gonna be quite a dope contrast in this review. So yeah, so great album opener. And yeah, let's go to the next track.
Yeah, inside the thing them called Sweet Melody Wap, girl, you coming like a feather, yeah. Inside the thing them called DCs, and the girl them please and max out the visa. Hey, my girl, put on the money when I talk about.
So the next track is called Cyanide. Another really dope track. Really dope track. I really love this track. So usually what I do before I get an album, right, I usually get 3 songs by an artist. It's usually the singles, the songs that they shoot music videos for, whatever. And this song, Love Again, and Frontal, Lobe Music were the 3 songs I chose. So I've heard the song so many times, but I still love it. The first question I want to ask you, you also love it, right? I can see you bouncing. The first question I want to ask you, have you heard the remix before of this song?
I have heard the remix. I have.
Which one do you like more?
So, because in this home, we try to be fair, and we try to be democratic and everything and diplomatic, I just feel like there's no reason for us to pit two amazing songs against each other. Why can't they thrive, together? Because there are different songs, and I'm so happy. I'm always happy when a remix is nothing like the original song. In essence, I feel like that's what a remix should be. Instead of you, having the same song and then having someone add their verse or whatever, rework the song. Give us something else. And I think that's what was done on the remix with Coffee. I like them both.
Do you like Coffee?
I like Coffee. I do like her.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. And I think it's kind of cool. I know it can be very what's the word? Dangerous, maybe dangerous for lack of a better word, to say that it's cool when people go back to their roots, because you don't want to have to expect people to like go back to your roots and all of that kind of stuff. But he's of Jamaican descent, Caribbean descent, and you can hear that in the song. And with the remix, him getting coffee, I thought that was really, really cool, because maybe they got into studio and they were like, you know what, let's turn this into something else, into more of a vibe. We relate with each other so much. Let's put, you know, our Caribbean flavor, more of the flavor, of the awesome flavor onto this remix. So I'm sold. Love it.
Nah, that's dope. Yeah, no, I think you know, cause this song also does feel a little reggae-ish. Can you say reggae-ish? Or is the right word Caribbean? Maybe the right word is Caribbean.
It's, I mean, yeah, reggae-ish.
Yeah.
It's got a reggae-ish vibe, dance hallish vibe. Maybe not dance hall, maybe like light dance hall. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the problem with me is like I call everything that's from Jamaica's reggae. That's my issue. Like it can be dance hall, you know, dancing loud, fast music. I'll call it. Hey, that you like reggae? Everything, you know, certain, you know, when like a country has like a specific genre that makes them so famous, you know, everything is just called reggae. Blame it on Bob Marley, though, eh? Blame it on Bob Marley. Yeah, and he actually shot a video for this song, so you know people can check out. It's the only video he shot, which is, but we're gonna get to that a bit later.
I wake from my slumber. I wish I could call you up, miss how you'd put your love on me. Boy, you got my number.
Okay, so the next track is called Love Again, featuring legendary R&B singer-songwriter, super talented Brandy, American singer-songwriter, super talented Brandy. Now she's no longer as active in the music industry. Another song that I also heard from the singles. So yeah, I'm gonna try leave it with you, like just to hear, like, you know, what do you have to say about the song? What do you feel about the song?
So it gives me very similar vibes to the songs on the previous album, in the debut album on Freudian. And it's not out of place at all. It's not as heavy laden as the other songs. It's.
What do you mean by heavy laden?
So like the deep lyrics, and you know the darkness, and how philosophical the rest of the songs are. This is kind of lighter, even though it's like a song about heartbreak. It still fits. It's strange that it okay. It's strange. It's good. Yeah.
I get you. No, I get you. No, but I understand what you're trying to say.
It's nice, and I think it's just like the previous song is also so vibey and waist windy, kind of, you know, that Jamaican Caribbean thingamajig. And this is kind of like it's an R&B song, like a proper R&B song.
R&B song, okay. No, I get you. Yeah, no, I feel this is actually of the 3 songs that I got, right, from the singles, whatever. This is like my least favorite song.
Is it?
It's one of my least favorite songs from the album in general, because yeah, I just didn't like. I think you make quite a good point. Like, you are a real Daniel Caesar fan, so like it feels like a commercial song. Let me just say that it feels like a commercial song. Like, my big issue with this song is that it felt like he was trying to do the same thing as the Best Part song that he did with her. Sort of that duet type vibe, and sort of the themes and love and whatever. And it's sort of, and you make a good point, like it feels a little out of place on the album on itself, because like on this album, on the previous album, it was more, on Freudian, it was more about like embracing love and like the good things about love and whatever. On this album, it's a bit more, we're gonna get to those songs, but it's a bit more like, the conflicts of love and like, and and his personal conflict, and like his music's a bit even more sexual in a way, it's more sexual. And yeah, and the song just feels a bit out of place, and yeah, I don't like it too much, but it is, it is a Grammy nominated song, but
it's legendary, that's not a word, but Brandy's a legend, and that's why it's like extra R&B, because she's proper R&B,
yeah,
that smooth voice of hers, and yeah, it is
it's a
it is like, yeah, it is very commercial. It is like the previous, or songs from the previous album. Then again, you did mention, everything being about horniness and conflict and all of that kind of stuff. And I guess this is an aspect as well of, the conflict that you could be experiencing, and, singing to your lover, and from going through chaos and stuff like that, you end up right back here, and then you leave this point of love and romance, and then you go right back into the fiery depths of chaos in life,
So you're hoping that you can find love in that chaos, right?
Yeah, and someone to hold your hand, and
Yeah. It does relate a little bit to the theme, right? You think?
Yeah,
of the album,
it's
but a bit differently, done a little bit.
Yeah.
But okay, cool.
Yeah. You know how I feel. I'm in love with you still. Yeah, it helps, but it kills. Your loving, it hurts.
So the next song is called Frontal, Lobe Musik, featuring another legend. Quite a few legends on this album. Pharrell Williams, legendary singer-songwriter, record producer, just an all-around great talent. I have to say, lately I've been respecting Pharrell's music more and more. I don't usually like his music, his solo music, but then the songs that he's featured or that he's produced, I like a lot. But yeah, man, this song is just a vibe. I can see you vibing again. I think this is like my favorite song of this album. I think the song just has something. It does something to me, right?
I agree with. I feel like it's my top. It's in my top 3. It's top second.
3, honestly.
Yeah. It's a vibey track. Again, he's going through some shit, but it's a proper vibe. Again, if you listen to a lot of the songs, or all of the songs on this album, except for one of them, and we'll get to it, but you really listen and everything just sounds vibey, but it's not, because man's going through some stuff. But yeah, it's again, it's got Pharrell, and I agree with you that Pharrell's music that he's done alone isn't as fire as the music that he's done with other people.
Yeah.
I mean, there are like, single songs, but then you get heat like this.
Yeah, you can feel the Pharrell presence on the song. Right?
Definitely.
Like if Pharrell, like he just, like the chorus, I love the chorus of the song. Like, it's so simple, but it's like, it's just the proper vibe. And I have another question for you. Like, I personally felt like this song deserved a music video, right? Really deserved a music video. So I have a question. Do you think like him sort of rebelling in a way and trying not to be a conventional artist that, shoots videos and, is all around the fans, or is all around like, public image? Do you think him being like that, trying to be a real artist, if you can call it, who's focused on the music, will be his ultimate downfall?
I'm not sure if it'll be a downfall, because if your music is good, it's good. Have I ever spoken to you about a guy named Rodriguez?
No.
So Rodriguez was this guy who made music like the 60s or the 70s. And I kind of forget what the reason was for him not being as successful as he was in the States as he was everywhere else. But he shit blew up in South Africa in the 90s. And he had no idea until people started searching for this documentary called Searching for Sugar Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so these teenagers in the 1990s, white South African kids, were vibing with this stuff. They didn't know where the records came from. They thought the guy was dead. A lot of people thought the guy was dead because he stuff bombed overseas. You know, there was no massive appeal and promo and this and that and everything. So I think that's an example of something just being so good that people will bang it anyway. However, in the digital age and with music videos and how we feel about visuals accompanying your catalog or whatever, I wouldn't say that it'll be a downfall, but I think that it could enhance the experience or the enjoyment of his catalog. I mean, these songs are exceptional. And this one in particular, I mean, the things that I can think of, the videos that I can make myself for this song, like imagine what he would have been able to do, like something in the desert, because that was the whole feel of Case Study, desert images, or that kind of stuff. So it really would have been great. Do I think it'll lead to his downfall? No, but I think that it could it could elevate the elevation, the hype that already exists.
Okay. I actually have a point I want to make, but I want to make it quickly so I don't talk for too long. It's actually the story of another artist who. So he was basically. I won't say his name yet because I want to sort of build it up. So the way you built up your story, which was pretty cool. So I want to build it up. So there's this R&B artist, right, who, releases this album. He's sort of very mysterious. He released like an album, and no one knew who he was, right? No one saw him. They knew his name, but no one has ever seen him before, right? But the music was amazing. And then he released another album, and then it was even better. It was better again. He released another one, then he did like a compilation album, whatever. And then so that whole they were sort of mixtapes. Those mixtapes did like really well for him, like really, really well. But he was very anonymous, very, very anonymous. And he wasn't big on visuals as well, but he ended up doing visuals. He was sort of very alternative R&B artist. And then he dropped another album, which was still on that very alternative R&B, mysterious type vibe, not trying to whatever. And that album didn't do so well, right? In comparison to his first album. Actually, it was a bit of a flop. It was seen as a bit of a flop. Not a major flop, but a bit of a flop. So what he decided to do is like, am I going to keep being this underground artist that's, because what he noticed was like, I'm going to keep being like sort of relatively unknown and like not many people are going to consume my music. So he decided, I'm going to use my talents and my skills and try and be a bit more of a musician so that I can be more accessible. And he decided to like, try and use his voice to verify his voice, like venture a little bit more on pop and R&B, sort of venture on both pop and R&B, invest more on visuals, on image, and just putting himself out there a little bit more. And that artist is called The Weeknd. And The Weeknd, as we know right now, is humongous. But when he started out, he didn't even show his face. He was very like sort of. So I think my only worry, the reason why I ask you that is because I feel like if he does that, can he become as big as like someone as like The Weeknd? But But my problems with The Weeknd as well is I feel like his music has become, he's sort of lost that greatness that he had in the beginning because of trying to be pop. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a sort of 50-50 situation, huh?
I think, though, maybe just like a closing thought, food for thought, we kind of need to ask ourselves how big these people actually want to be.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to be big, and maybe that's enough, you know.
Maybe this is enough.
That's good enough for him. The next track is called Open Up. The name already says it all. Open Up. A very, very sexual song. Like Nomonde said, a very horny song. Women, I think, tend to call this music baby making music. So one question I want to ask you first is, in terms of, I want to ask you in 2 points. In terms of how does this music make you feel as a woman, and how does it make other women feel? Like if you were talking in other women's point of view that like R&B music or that don't like R&B music, how do you think it makes them feel, this type of songs?
Yikes, I don't like speaking on people's behalf.
Okay, speak on your behalf.
I mean, this is a very intense song, right? And I mean, we can tell from the song that Daniel Caesar is ready for fatherhood.
Not ready.
That he is ready for fatherhood. That's just, you know. I mean, just now I'm listening to it and he says, "Can we just get down to business?" You know, he's a man about a plan, you know.
But you say he's ready for fatherhood because he says, "I want to plant my seed."
Yes.
I thought he was just being horny.
No, just open up and let me plant my seed. But I mean, that could mean many things. That like, let me plant the seed of love. Let me plant the seed of, you know, us being together. Or let me plant the seed of this experience. Let me plant this seed, like the fruit of my loins. It is it's a hot song. It's quite hot. It's quite hot. It's got very neo-soul vibes. Yeah.
It's a dope song. It's one of my favorites as well, you know. It's one of my favorite songs, and like, I think I really love this part of the song when his voice gets back to normal and doesn't, without all those effects and stuff. Because I think it makes you, I think when it gets back to normal, you feel more the emotion. That it's not just, I think it makes the song a little bit deeper. That it's not just sexual. There's something underneath it, something maybe.
I think it's kind of like, in the beginning, he's like singing about his carnal desires. And like physically, I would like, just, I'm not thinking about anything else other than sex. Like, let me get what I want. And then he flips it and he's like, "But girl, damn, I'm all about you. I be feeling you. I love you." You know, it's
manipulative.
It's a chaotic song.
It's chaotic. There's a lot of ideas.
Yeah, there's a.
But in a good way.
I mean.
Or in a bad way.
Maybe the balance is good in that he's saying, he's being honest that, okay, I'm a man, I have needs, this is how I feel. At the same time, I do love you. I'm not completely objectifying you. You know?
Yeah.
I do want to have this experience. And maybe opening up also is like opening up vulnerability.
Oh yeah.
That could be from both ends. Let me be vulnerable with you, and I am being vulnerable with you by expressing that I do have these physical desires that I need to, to meet and to fulfill. At the same time, I'd like you to open up to me. Open up your heart. Let me love you. Let me give you. Let me fulfill your desires.
Yeah. It's like a double standard to it.
Yeah.
It's a dope song. Yeah, it's like you said, very explicit, very it almost makes you feel like it's also associated with his fame as well. It's like, I think it's also like to me sometimes the song feels like, that's why I said it's a little deeper. It's like he wants to plant his seed, obviously, but he wants to love this woman, but then he doesn't know if he should love because she's only with him because he's famous and has money or whatever, so that's why I think that's why that chaos comes in, where there's so much thing in his mind, and it's just all over the place. And another question I want to ask you, huh?
No, I just wanted to add that maybe even if she isn't there for the money, he is so absorbed in his fame, the fact that he can get whatever he wants. But then he remembers, oh wait, but there is someone who is good and pure and someone that I can open up to, someone that I want to open up to me. Let us open up Pandora's box together,
Yeah.
It's a dope song. I think it's like he feels guilty for being selfish.
Yeah.
Like, it says guilt, so that's a good thing. At least he feels bad about it, because some people don't give a damn. Yeah. So a quick question, but I think I'll ask you this question a bit later. So, because it is about the voice thing. Yeah, the voice thing. Okay, let me ask you quickly before. What do you think about this voice changing thing? Of like putting, how does it? Do you think it improves the songs? It makes you feel more?
I think yes, but it's not a range that he's necessarily capable of, but experimentation is good. And early in your career, if you're trying something out like this, try it out, see the reception, see how you can improve on it. Maybe the following singles or albums, he would have had vocal training. He would have had that 100% Neil Soul high-pitched, I want to sing your pants off. Not even take them off. I want to sing. My voice must unbuckle your belt. I think experimentation is good. I don't know what the song would have sounded like if he sang, the same range throughout. So it wasn't bad. It enhanced it. Did what it had to.
Okay, cool.
If you're a writer, start with it.
If you're not trying to go to a party, start with it.
If you write songs, write songs.
Okay, so the next track is called Restore the Feeling. It features a Canadian rapper, record producer called Sean Leon. A relatively unknown act, and it features Jacob Collier, an English singer, arranger, composer, producer, multi-instrumentalist, actually very interesting artist. So yeah, so in this song again we get that voice changing thing. Daniel Caesar's voice changes again, and yeah, what do you think of this song? What do you feel? And what do you think about Daniel Caesar's first hip-hop feature?
I have a feeling about songs that have guitars, whether it's acoustic, whether it's bass, whether it's electric. I feel some type of way. I don't know if guitar is like my spirit instrument or something. So I always have a bias towards a song that has, like just the
Does the guitar have to be like soft and like easy, or
literally
any sound?
as long as it's good, you know. And it feels, every time I listen to this song, I try and figure out what it reminds me of. And it's not a Lenny Kravitz song. There's someone else's song that is so, it's like
But the whole song in general, or like specific parts of the song?
the whole song in general. It sounds like a song that a far more experienced musician would have made.
Really? Hmm?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe in my dreamscape. Um,
Oh, that's interesting.
it's so, it's like the kind of song that someone makes when they come back from like a 7-year hiatus and they have 2 kids that no one knew about, and they got married, they eloped somewhere, and the dude is like 37 years old, and this is the thing that he's done. I just can't for the life of me explain. I love it. I just love it. I love it.
So is this your favorite song from the album?
It's not my favorite song.
Okay, well, continue. You're saying you love how balanced it is, no?
I love how balanced it is. The features. If you're not focusing, it sounds like it's Daniel throughout the song.
Yeah.
Even when Sean, does his part and Jacob.
Sean Dion. Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's good because it feels, because I think with R&B, right, I think the thing that I love about Daniel Caesar, that's why I asked you, what do you think of his first hip-hop feature? I think hip-hop, rappers always ruin R&B songs, because it's like it's an old like trope that people used to do in the 90s, where an R&B singer would feature a rapper in their song to make it more commercial vibe or whatever it was, the idea. And I always felt like they ruined the song. Because it doesn't have, because you like the artist for the singing. Why would I want to hear someone to rap? It's all about singing. Why would I want to hear some guy rapping? So I think that's a good thing, that you don't even notice that, there's another artist rapping.
It's a symbiosis. They just all get together and they, these microorganisms.
But that's great music, huh?
Yeah, that is great music. You know what it's actually reminding me of? It's reminding me of so on the one hand, it kind of sounds like some songs from Demon Days by Gorillaz. And then there are also some parts, like towards the end, that sound like All of the Lights by Kanye West.
Is it the part where like the outro? Because that outro is actually the Jacob Collier guy singing. It's like, oh, it's like a bunch of voices put together.
Harmonies.
Those harmonies. So that's what he's famous for, doing those harmony things.
It also sounds like sorry about that, but it sounds like there's a song "Don't Get Lost in the Heavens" by Gorillaz, and they have a choir.
I think I've heard
on that song, the outro. That's what it reminds me of. It sounds like this could have been a song by the Gorillaz, and that's why I love it. Because I love the Gorillaz.
And I think Daniel Caesar, you can feel he's influenced by so many like unconventional artists. Like, the songs that give me like other songs that I've heard, even on this album, give me like Coldplay feel sometimes. And like even like artists that are not like just R&B, artists that are like from other genres, like alternative, even pop sometimes, so yeah. And I was gonna say, like, that outro is very Kanye Westy, because it's just like a little portion of a song, but it's perfect. it just ties the song all together. And even like just the rap feature was amazing. Like, it's just like you don't feel, like you said, like you don't feel like it's someone else, and it's like it just gelled so well. Like, it's just, yeah, he's I think he produces, yeah, it's like genre bending, and it doesn't sound like a typical R&B song. It's just, yeah, I really like this song. I think you making me like it more.
Am I liked it more, I'm glad.
Yeah, because the voice changing thing came again, and I was like, ugh, that's why I'm a little bit like this with the song initially, but I think as I think about it and I assess it more, it's like it's actually quite.
I mean,
Quite
the
a work
voice
of art,
changing thing, he's not exceptional at this falsetto thingamajig that he's doing, but maybe the fact that it's imperfect, guys. I just trying to find the good in everything.
Because I think it's auto tuned though. It's I don't know if it's fully his voice. Do you think it's?
Ah,
I feel it feels a little bit auto tuned because auto tune feels a bit mechanical. You know, it doesn't feel real. It's like the way your Travis Scott is hectic. Travis Scott and Post Malone's, those guys are hectic with auto tune. So it's not supposed to sound perfect.
I don't know. I think that enhances it for me. I don't know.
You think it makes it? No, but like it's all about opinions. Eh? It's all about
Yeah.
opinions,
Okay, so the next track is called Superposition. It features, I would call him a legend. I don't know if you agree with me. John Mayer. I don't know if he's legend yet. Yeah, John. Maybe he's not a legend quite yet, but he's quite well respected. He's an American singer-songwriter, record producer. He's sort of that artist. It's a sort of a controversial thing to say. He's sort of that artist that black artists feature when they want to sound different. Frank Ocean also featured him on the song. I think also it was Beyonce or something. But yeah, he's you can feel his touch because and I can feel it because you're a guitar person.
Mm-hmm.
You're a guitar person.
Firstly, do you like John Mayer, and what do you think he added to the song?
I like John Mayer, and I don't listen to him extensively, but if he comes on the shuffle, don't skip him. Again, I'm a sucker for guitar, so I do like John Mayer. I also like that that he's versatile. So he produces and then he plays and he sings. So I like that about him.
Do you think this song had something different that his other songs don't have because John Mayer's on it?
No, because anyone could have done this.
Anyone could have done it. No, but be honest, you don't have to.
Maybe I'm wrong because maybe someone could have played this, but would they have produced it the same way that John Mayer did? Because maybe, Daniel had the melody in his head and he wanted it to sound the same way, and he could have played it as well because he plays. He could have done it a specific way and it would have been produced and it would have been great. These are some of the things that we'll never know. But maybe it sounds as wonderful as it does because John didn't just play on it, but he produced it too.
Oh, yeah.
I guess a consideration to make.
Yeah. No, but it's cool. I think I'm not a huge John Mayer fan. I'm sort of up and down with him. I like one song, then I won't like 10 or 5 or whatever. But he does add something. I think this song feels very alternative. It doesn't feel like R&B at all, to be honest. And I think that's cool. It works. And I think the main attraction for me in this song is actually the songwriting, the lyrics. This is like the only song that the lyrics sort of actually it just didn't hit my face. It sort of went into my ear a little bit. And it's sort of like I think it's those themes that we talked about, him like struggling with with fame and all that stuff, and yeah, the title's a bit strange because I read the definition of superposition, right? So this is like the Google definition. Superposition is the ability of a quantum system to be a multiple in multiple states of the same time until it is measured. Because the concept is difficult to understand, this essential principle of quantum mechanics is often illustrated by an experiment carried out in 1801 by English physicist Thomas Young. That's the definition. It's a mouthful. It's quite a mouthful. But I think the things that stuck with me is multiple states at the same time. And because the concept is hard to understand. I think those are things that stuck with me. Yeah.
Again, we're getting these messages that his life is a complete shambles.
Yeah.
But there's chaos here, and then there's love there, and there's conflict here, and there's... So all of this is existing at the same time. And I mean, you're talking about the titles: entropy, cyanide, superposition. Even the title of the album, it's all science related. And I think each song is pretty... I should have saved this for the end, whatever.
That's fine.
Song is kind of like a research analysis of a specific thing. So there's the heartbreak, there's with cyanide, acid, LSD tripping, entropy, that chaos, and now these multiple states of existing, the philosophizing of existence and disorder, and kind of surviving through all of those things.
Yeah.
Again, another song that sounds terrific. Sorry.
Yeah, no, this is quite a powerful song. It's quite a powerful song. Okay, so now to the next track. It's called Too Deep to Turn Back. Quite a cool song. Another one that gets you into your feelings. I think from Superposition, the album sort of becomes more philosophical, sadder, Now you're getting to see his sort of sad mental state, sort of. In the beginning, he's giving you clues that he's experiencing these things, but he's giving you a vibey beat. So as there's like 2 points about it. It's like, as like a normal listener, you sort of entertained, but then if you just want to be entertained at the middle, you're like, I'm done with this album. But like if you're someone who you're entertained, but there's a message, and then in the middle the message gets deeper and more, if you can say, more straightforward, less sort of hidden and stuff. But yeah, it makes it quite special. Like, I love this chorus here, this lady's voice. Her name is, I think it's actually Ariana Reed. Yeah, that's her name. She's a Canadian musician. I love that part. So yeah, what do you think of the song?
It has a lot of religious references.
Yeah, you're right.
One point singing about Elijah, that kind of stuff, like, and singing directly to God. So, I mean, also addressing death and how fickle, again, life and existence is, regardless of all of the things that we're doing, all of the things that I'm pursuing. I'm doing my best, but it's kind of gonna end, even though I'm doing my best. Daniel Caesar was raised in a very religious home, a very conservative home. So, when you're in this position with all of this fame and this access, life happens so fast. You have access to so many things, so many experiences that you never imagined you'd have. And for someone who's religious, you kind of sit down and you say, God, I'm doing all of these things, or these things are things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just trying to survive, but I feel like I'm falling into things. And what is the reason? Is it worth it? God, what's up? I'm just trying to make money. I'm just trying to feed the fam, trying to feed the homies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you make quite a good point. Like, I think it's like, especially if you're a religious person, being a celebrity is like the worst thing because you're exposed to so much, if you could say evil, in a way, evil. Because I think, money and fame, it brings a very narcissistic attitude about yourself, because almost everything becomes about you, and if you don't sort of control yourself, you can lose yourself in that sort of fake world. And people are not always who they are, and like you fall into temptation a lot. And I think another thing that I actually want to talk to you about is like, I've noticed lately, like the new R&B artists, they tend to be very religious, or they have very religious background. Because I've read, I don't know about Frank Ocean, but I think Lucky Day was sort of like a new R&B artist. He was in a household where like his family would only allow people to listen to R&B music. I mean, not R&B, gospel music. Like, it was literally banned. Anything that's not gospel was literally banned. And like you said, Daniel C's also grew up in a very religious household. And I think the thing that I wonder is like, why do these guys sort of tend to be so good? Like, such good singers and also such good songwriters, They seem to have more to say than your average Joe,
I think that, and maybe, again, I'm grasping at straws here, but singing or growing up singing in church is kind of like the equivalent, or maybe even better, than being trained in a music conservatory, because you are learning music. How can I say this without understanding or knowing the written technicalities thereof?
It's sort of subconscious learning.
Yeah,
You're immersed in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're immersed in the spirit. You're immersed in vulnerability. You see it all around you. How people are able to give themselves to God. Watching a choir sing, and also the feeling of hearing all of those voices kind of invokes a lot of stuff in you, again, subconsciously. And I think that's why people who listen to this can correct me. You can send us resources or
no, but it's quite a good point.
Yeah, I mean, stuff that we can read to properly understand this. But I think at least it makes sense to me that that's why the writing is so good, and the sound is also so good, because growing up in church, and in Black churches especially, the sound is versatile. One song sounds like this, and then one song sounds like that. And he grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist church, and if SDA is anything like it is in Canada, if it's anything like South African SDA, it's
how's it in South Africa? Is it like hectic?
It's
very, very like vibrant.
I mean, I wouldn't say vibrant. I don't want to offend anyone. It's very it's very conservative, but the music,
it's very spiritual.
It's so spiritual.
Mm.
It has so much depth.
I think also if you grew up in a choir, because basically making music for church and for choir, if you manage to make your own original music, or even just covering religious songs, it's like you're making music for the love of it, because no one's paying you to do it. No one's like, you sort of, I think if you do anything for the love of it, for the passion for it, and not for the money or fame or for whatever other reasons, you tend to involve yourself more. Because, like, especially the very religious people that go to church every Sunday, growing up in such a passionate place, about, putting your emotions out there of like how you feel about God, I think that helps and brings it out in you, and you can communicate it in other ways, not just religious, but in other, emotional ways. Okay, cool. So the next song is called Complexities. A very laid back song. Yeah. There was a song you said you're gonna say something bad about. I think you haven't. Have you gotten to that song?
Not something bad necessarily, but we're getting there still.
So it's the last song because there's only one song. There's only one song left. So yeah. So okay. So I'll just say this is like probably my least favorite song of the album. It's like, but it's good. It's not a bad song, right? It's not a bad song. But I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just too laid back. It's just a song that I would easily skip on the album. Just didn't. What do you think about it? What's your opinion on this song? Because you're so shocked right now. So
No, I'm not shocked. I'm trying to understand personally why this song or this album is a no skip album for me. I didn't realize that until you mentioned that this is a song you'd skip. Because anytime I listen to this album, I don't skip anything.
Really?
Yeah, I wonder where my bias comes from.
But how often does that happen to you? Like, where you won't skip an album, or like songs from an album?
It doesn't happen quite often. It's actually kind of rare that there are no skips. It's
Did Fraudian do that to you as well?
Yeah.
You wouldn't skip?
Or I'm lying. Am I lying?
Honestly speaking, this is the truth.
No, I'm lying.
There's no right or wrong answer.
There's a song that I skip on Freudian.
One song.
But I'm noticing now, just looking at the track listing. For the track listing on Freudian, there are also 10 tracks.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any correlation.
For there being 10 tracks, or...
Yeah, because 10 tracks on Freudian and...
I think, personally, I think just like 10 tracks for me is the perfect length of an album. For me, right? For me, like, most of the albums I like, unless it's a first album. First albums for me are the only albums that can... Not the only, but like an album that can be long. I wouldn't mind. Like, it can be 20 tracks, can be 18, can be 30. Because, like, basically, that first album is like all those years you're trying to make it, right? All the music you're making before you even made it to become a musician piled up into one album. That's why a lot of people, when their first album is really good, the next album is usually a flop. Because, they've put all the ideas on the table. So it's really rare to get an album that's like, your first album is really good, and your second one, you sort of top it. Unless, because usually it's like the first album is bad or it's like average, then they top it. And then I think that's what I feel. And then, like, but I think, what I get from you is like, I really love this saxophone thing.
That's why I'm not saying anything.
I can see you vibing to it. Like, it feels very like cinematic, even like.
Yeah.
Like,
what a lot of people say though? They say that when film buffs say that a movie has great cinematography, they're basically saying that the movie is very boring and it just looks good. So maybe this song sounds good. Not maybe, but it sounds good. It doesn't strike a chord, the way that the others do. I don't hate it. Again, you know how I am with the lyrics, understanding what the song's about and all of that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just have to let things out, you know? You let it out on the sax, let the sax play, let the sax sing, you know?
The sax.
The sax, yeah.
Are you okay? Been staring at your face from across the room now.
Okay, so now let's jump to the final track. It's quite a short album, eh? 10 tracks. It's actually quite short, and it works for me. It's like it's perfect. It's perfect, and this song is like, for me, like I'm a bit of a sucker for sad songs. Let me just be honest. The sadder it is, the better it is for me sometimes. You know, no, it's sad songs, yo. The sadder it is, it's tough for me to listen to it, but when I listen to it, I get so like, damn. Especially when it's like really, when someone like pours their heart out, you know?
It's like,
It's just like, yo, yeah, it's just deep. So I actually have like, you know, this song is beautiful. I actually have a quite a serious, deep question for you. I wanted to ask you, do you think like sad music contributes to someone being sad or depressed? Or the music can, or do you think, and you think the music can lead to someone like doing the extreme, like, you know, taking their own lives and stuff? Like just the music.
Yeah. I do think that music has that power. I think personally I don't listen to sad music when I am sad for that reason. Not because I want to harm myself or anything, but because I keep going back to this, but you might not be listening attentively, but there's something about something sad that will get you down. And we see this a lot. I'm not sure how many people realize this, but something we learned in university in visual studies was how music or music on films actually invokes 10 times more the feeling than it would if there was no soundtrack at all. So the scene is happening and they play a really, really sad song, and that kind of draws you away from what's happening to the scene, or, you know, brings that heaviness to the scene. I think that this song has potential to make people feel very, very sad. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just listening to the lyrics as well.
No, but it's beautiful. I think the way he delivers the lyrics as well, you know, that slowness of it, you know, listen to me, you know, it just adds, you know, it's just so emotional and so.
It's very mellow.
Yeah, it's very mellow. Like, cause the thing is, like, complexities, right? Complexities was mellow as well, right? But you don't hear the emotion in his voice so much, and the instrumental as well. You know, it's also very like, you know, adds to it. So yeah, it's just a beautiful song.
It's a ton of like it's a very melancholic song. It's very, very sad.
Yeah, and he keeps saying like, me and my niggas getting paper or getting money and stuff. So I think it's almost like, it's actually another thing I wanted to talk about. It's like, like the thing I wonder, like, why do so many, like, you know, especially musicians, artists, you know, maybe even celebrities, you know, like sometimes the main factor for their sort of mental issues and depression, whatever, is the fame aspect of it. Like, you know, artists like, you know, Kendrick Lamar, you know, the fame aspect of his life is what made him depressed at some point. What do you think is it about fame that, like, just, you know, takes such a toll on people?
It's not normal. There's nothing normal about it. There's nothing comfortable about it. You are stripped sometimes so quickly from any semblance of what you knew, the slowness of your life, even if your life was, completely mundane, very boring, and kind of unremarkable. You've been scooped out of that. You can't do things that you normally would, even if you try to, because maybe you need to meet the requirements of your contract and go on tour or make music and do appearances for press and all of that kind of stuff. Networking as well, being in spaces that you don't want to be in, with people that you don't want to be around. Witnessing things as well that you never thought that you'd see, because normal people do really, really messed up stuff. Like famous people and people with access and people with money, they do all of that stuff tenfold. So I think being stripped away from what is normal and what is comfortable in any respect really tears people apart. And knowing that whatever you do, you're unable to go back to that, because when you try and be a hermit, and maybe hermit's not the right word, but when you try and become more reclusive and mind your own business and private and all of that, you kind of battle, because okay, now I'm private at home, I can't be private at McDonald's unless I wear a disguise or go the moment it opens or right before it closes. You have to find loopholes literally to survive without being recognized, without being hounded by thousands of people screaming and crying and saying that they love you. I love you, Daniel. I love you. I love you. Daniel Caesar might not love you. Because Daniel's normal. He just wants to hang out with the homies. He's been doing this with the homies for years. He just, me and my niggas are just trying to get money. Me and the homies are trying to get money. That's all. This is work for us.
Yeah.
Maybe Daniel Caesar's an asshole.
Maybe Daniel Caesar's an asshole, guys.
But I'm kidding. I don't know anything. I'm just an example.
To be forced to be great.
Nice to people.
Nice because he's famous.
Yeah. So yeah, it is quite complex and stuff. So what do you think of this album Closer, just to end the album review?
I think the song. Yes.
No, because I want to hear that part, the bad part.
It's not bad. It actually isn't bad. This song, I find it so interesting. Not a lot of people do this, where the song is nice and long, and it's like 2 songs or 3 songs in one. People always make a song that's like 2 minutes, and then it kind of gets straight to the point. And your songs are boring sometimes when they get straight to the point, because you have the potential to not be musical, and you're just making a song, and sometimes it's not enough. You put so much emotion to it, and you get a song like this that's like, it has plenty of transitions. You're not even sure at some point that
it's the same song.
Yes. I think it's an experience, and from the first song, because this is a case study. When you begin your research for something, you start at a certain point, and going through it, you continue to learn stuff. Your understanding deepens, and when you reach the conclusion, you understand completely differently than you did when you began. So learning is a journey, and I don't know if I'm grasping at straws. I think the theme of this review is grasping at straws.
Yes.
The journey is learning, and there's just a cycle of constant movement, whether it's chaotic, whether it's sad, whether it's joyful, whether it's trippy with the cyanide. Yeah, I think it's a very reflective end to that album.